going. We are going to have a little bit of concentration on eagle pose. It's part of our flow for those of you that joined this Zoom meeting after I'd already discussed that. So I'm going to give you two options as to where you start today's practice. You can start seated or you can start reclined. It's going to be up to you. We're going to start with a little bit of a breathing activity. So either position works for me. If you do decide to recline, go ahead. Put yourself all the way flat on your back and rest the shoulders and the spine down into the earth. If you choose to start today's practice seated, you're going to just want to find a nice comfortable position, maybe crisscross. If you are seated and you'd like to add a blanket under the tip of the tail or a block, that's fine too. Hands can rest on the lap, or if you're resting on the floor, hands can rest on your belly. Close your eyes and begin to breathe naturally. Feeling the rise and fall of your chest and your belly. Using these first few moments of today's practice just to check in. Check in mentally, see where your mind's at, see where your heart, your emotions, what might be spinning and entering, leaving the mind. Start to check in with your physical being. Check in with your back, with your shoulders, with your neck, your hips. Start to notice which places might need a little extra support and attention today. We're going to start to increase that breath. Let it become a little bit more controlled. Perhaps it might feel nice to take your right arm and tuck it just slightly underneath the armpit of the left side, and then bring your left arm over to the other shoulder, kind of reaching underneath the hands here just to create a good hug across the chest. So for some of us, our hands might be able to reach all the way around to the back on either sides and just give us a nice hug. Even if you're rested flat on your back on the floor here, this position usually still works, resting on the earth. And start to begin to count the breath. Inhale, counting to 4 in your head. Exhale, counting to 4 in your head. And we're just going to continue this bear hug style breathing here for a few more moments. If you start to realize that your exhale can take a little bit more than 4, you can let your breath extend perhaps to 5 or 6. So whether you chose to start today seated or reclined, let your shoulders have this opportunity to experience this nice hug shape across the upper back. The next time the inhale comes naturally into your body, let's reposition the arms so that the opposite arm now is on the top. Other arms start to reach around near the armpit on the other side, creating that same hug shape. And count the breath again, inhaling to the count of 4. Exhaling to the count of 4. Remembering that as we inhale, we may feel our belly grow or expand as it fills with air like a balloon. As you exhale, the belly button starts to fall a little bit towards your spine. The breath is released back out. The shoulders might relax. And then just continue this shape for a couple more breaths. Providing kind of a gentle hug opener to today's practice. All right, next natural inhale, we'll let the arms come out and away. For those of you who chose to start seated, just let your neck have a little attention, rocking right and left. For those of you who are flat on your back, just let your body do the same. Let your head kind of sway with your nose across the ceiling, right and left. And then those of us seated, we're just going to take our time to move to about the middle of the mat. Start to recline back onto your back to meet others who are already there. And begin to hug the knees in towards the chest. You can rock around here a little bit, maybe right and left. That might feel nice. Adding just some gentle movement to the spine. And then we'll keep that left knee hugged in, let the right leg go nice and long down the mat. Point and flex the toes, roll around the ankles here. Switching the grip to the back of the thigh on that left leg, let it extend up towards the ceiling. Now, if this feels like too big of a shape to have that right leg long, you know you can always bring your right foot up the mat and position yourself on the floor. If the body feels okay here, we might even slide our hands slightly up the back side of this leg. Reach a little higher, maybe push through that right heel for more of a spider pose. And then we'll let all that soften. So I'm going to bring my right foot down, slide my right knee up the mat, right heel up the mat, and then just let my left leg start to crisscross over and on top of that right leg. You can stay right here and just let the back settle, or you might choose to bring these knees up a little closer to the chest. I'm going to reach for my shins and just kind of pull slightly the heels back towards my hips and just rock a little side to side. Now, if you have a little bit more opening through the hips, you might choose to reach a little deeper down towards the ankles and pull those heels back towards the hips. And that's a pretty big shape, especially early on. So if that doesn't sit well with you, just take it easy, knowing that you have options. You don't always have to go into the biggest shape just because it's there. Perfect. Starting to come out of that pose, just bring the feet softly back to the earth. We're going to switch sides. Right knee moves in towards the chest. Left leg extends nice and long down the mat. Point and flex the toes here. Roll around the ankles. And then we'll switch our grip to the back of the thigh. Elevate this leg out towards the ceiling. Let this move around here a little bit. Maybe that spider pose even feels good on this side. Leg that's extended will start softening, as well as the leg that's on the floor, sliding that heel up, crisscrossing high at those knees. You can stay right here on the earth, or you can bring all of this in a little closer, reaching for those shins, just like we did before. Maybe pulling the ankles and the heels back towards your hips, towards the glutes. As I said in the opening parts of today's video, we are going to have a little eagle-inspired flow. So there'll be little touches of eagle all throughout the practice. We've started with our hug, now we're doing a little bit with our hips, easing the feet back down into the ground, placing those heels right behind the glutes. Knees bent up towards the ceiling, hands on either sides of the hips, and then just take your time to lift up into bridge. Eagle demonstrates strength, courage, power, mobility. It shows up in lots of different stories throughout history as a strong, majestic bird. And that's kind of the sensations we're going to try to bring into our body today. The idea of strength, courage. As you feel ready, those heels will lift up off the ground, and then we'll just start to lower back down to the earth, one vertebra at a time. Last thing to hit the mat will be those heels. Maybe welcoming both knees in, hands to the tops of those kneecaps, and then just start to stir them. Take them in a circular motion. Good work. All right, friends, when you feel ready, let's get ourselves up towards our seat. So maybe that rock and roll a couple times, and then start to come up towards the seat. We're gonna skip seated postures and just move straight into some tabletop work. So take your time to get comfortable in your table shape. Wrists underneath shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. Maybe you even kind of rock this around a little bit. Of course, if you need to reposition anything in the wrists, the hands, the hair, the clothes, maybe a little tuck in of the shirt, any of those things that need to happen, feel free to do so. And then we're going to sit back onto our heels right away and go ahead and start taking that child's pose. Your fingertips might choose to tent, which just means you come up onto the tips of your fingers and you sit those hips back onto your heels. Give yourself a couple more rounds of breath here, letting the hips settle onto the heels. Heart dropping down into the earth in connection with that deep flowing breath. Perfect. From there, go ahead and bring yourself back up to tabletop. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Couple rounds of cat-cow, letting the belly drop to the earth on the inhale. Chin and tail lift. Exhale, breath, round it back, round it spine. So just take your time. Last round of cat-cow. Next time you hit that angry cat, sit the hips onto the heels. Take that same child's pose. Take here. One more breath in child. Perfect. Then we're going to bring ourselves up towards our knees. In terms of being able to sit in something that feels a little bit like hero. Now, if this shape doesn't work for you, you can come out of this and just go into a crisscross seat. But if you're okay in a hero type shape, see if you can bring yourself to sit onto those heels. Keep a nice tall spine. Reach the right arm straight up towards the ceiling, and then bring it down to make a 90-degree angle. Bring your left arm underneath and create some eagle arms. Inhale, breath. Lift the elbows slightly. Exhale, breath. Round the back, round the shoulders. So just take a couple of these. Remembering that your eagle can always just look like a hug. It doesn't have to be the biggest extension of eagle. Watching where those shoulders are, watching where the shoulders stay in line. We don't want to rip them up and pull them out. So it looks kind of like you're doing cat-cow. Give yourself one more round here. Perfect. Switching the arms. Those of you who are on your heels, if you need a little break to sit up tall in between, feel free. Left arm goes up. Left arm makes 90, right arm comes underneath. And then create that same movement. Slight lift, and then round. Lift, and then round. So feeling good stretch to start the day, start the practice today with these eagle arms. Knowing that if they're too big, you can always modify to a chop or a hug. Last one. All right, those of you who have went to a seat, go ahead and join us back in hands and knees. If you've been in eagle or hero pose, just kind of walk a little forward to put yourself back towards table. Cat-cow to release any tension you might have built in those shoulders, round the back, round the spine. Last one. All right, from here, let's take our first down dog of the practice. So lift your hips up, let your body start to get nice and long here. Really give that invitation to the spine to extend back towards that wall behind you. Hands are about shoulder distance apart, but your fingers are really widespread. So take your time to create long, extended spines with big, wide puppy paws. All right, right knee drops down towards the ground. Go ahead and lift this left foot straight up off the ground. Take yourself straight into a balancing table, reaching that right hand forward, maybe even pointing through the left toes. Inhale for a length. Exhale, elbow to knee. Moving through a little strengthening series here, testing the balance early on, knowing that you can always bring this hand down to the ground if it's a little too much to operate with the upper body and the lower body. You can slow your pace. You don't have to be going as quick as I am, or if you feel like you want to go a little faster than I'm demonstrating, that's fine too. Give yourself one more on this side, and then pause in that balancing table or bird dog pose. Taking the hand back down to the earth, we're gonna take this leg that's been lifted, bend at the knee, and let it kiss down on the other side of the mat, just outside that other knee. So if you can kind of see, I'm taking it slightly over. Now my knees are crisscrossed. I look like eagle shape. You might be able to sit back slightly into this shape. Give yourself one more breath. Perfect. Unwind that knee, bring it back up to the sky. Place it down, toes curled under, hips are up. Downward facing dog, walk it out. Shifting from this down dog to a plank pose, either knees go to ground or you're in a nice high plank. Exhale to lower, inhale either up dog or cobra. And then take your time, downward facing dog. Just took yourself through a nice little easy flow to start the morning. Start today's practice. Left knee drops to ground, right leg lifts to put you in the balancing table on the other side. Opposite hand reaches forward. Look for length. Inhale long. Exhale knee to elbow. And then just start to move through that little groove. Take a couple more breaths there. All right, looks like somebody might have gotten kicked out. Jerry, are you back? I think she was out in the waiting room. Sorry about that. All right, finishing this off, take your time. All right, finishing that off, hand comes down to ground. Go ahead and bend this knee, stick it over, let it tap just on the outside edge of that other knee. I hope you can see me. Sometimes I start to move off your screen. So this knee just barely comes over to the other side. You might be able to sit back into those hips a little bit. All right, bring this back to the middle of the mat. Curl toes, downward facing dog. Put yourself back up. Vinyasa of choice. Exhaling as you move towards the mat. This time I'm going to show modified knees to the ground. Maybe one little cobra pose. Transitioning to knees. And then hips lifted nice and high. Put yourself in that down dog and walk it out. All right, as you feel ready, small steps with the feet. Let them walk forward towards your hands. Hang in that forward fold. Shake it yes. Shake it no. Inhale, come up halfway, long spine. Exhale to the floor. Good work. Inhale, reach this back up nice and tall. Exhale, take a cactus shape. Okay, let's do 2 half sun salutations there. So up and down. You're really just flowing with your breath right here. Half lifting on that inhale. Dropping down on your exhale. Good work. Inhale, back up. One more at your own pace. Always using the inhale as you lengthen. Exhale when you fold. Just let these hands come back and find your heart. All right. When you feel ready, your next inhale breath is just going to add length through the arms. Exhale, chair pose. Add kind of some strength moving out through these fingers today. Maybe you choose to bring hands together at prayer, or you keep a little bit more space. As you exhale, sweep the hands back towards your hips. Inhale, length. Exhale, add that strength, those hands going back. So just think through that length of the spine, strengthen the legs. One more time, length of the spine, sit a little deeper into that chair. Exhale, strengthen the legs. Beautiful work. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. Baby back bend, hands reaching slightly over the head. Exhale, hinge and fold down to the earth. Half lift. Exhale down, right foot steps back. Right knee drops, inhale, chest comes up. Exhale, flow, hands back to the earth. Step this left foot all the way to the back of the mat. Put yourself in downward facing dog, walk it out. Inhale, breath, lift the right foot up. See if you can step it through to the right thumb. Left knee can drop to the ground, even if that wasn't very graceful, no worries. Inhale, up. Exhale it down. Step this front foot back to meet your back foot. Walk it out. This time when the left foot lifts, it's going to step all the way to the front of the mat, and then it's going to be joined by your back foot. So you can kind of take your time to bring yourself up to a forward fold, even if that was just small steps instead. Half lift, long spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach. Practice. All right, bring these hands into the heart. Grab a nice grounding breath here. Your legs should feel warm. Your upper back should feel warm. One more breath. All right, having a little eagle-inspired flow here. Inhale, hands reach up nice and tall. Exhale, hinge and fold down towards the earth. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Left foot, so switching it up a little bit. Left foot steps back to the back of the mat. Right knee is bent. Inhale, bring yourself up into a nice big crescent lunge. Now you got this right knee forward. So you're going to bring your left arm down, bring your right arm underneath, create those eagle arms. Now you have the option to just stay here in this big shape, or you can inhale, look up towards your hands. Exhale, bring your elbows towards your knee. I'm going to give you a little warning. This really tests your balance. So if you are everywhere right now, join the club. And if you feel really unstable, good. The idea is that our mind has to be involved here. We can't be thinking about much more than just yoga right now, or we are going to end up falling out of this shape. One more. Good test of balance and strength. I know this is challenging. All right, keeping those arms where they are, you're going to take a small little step with this back foot forward, and then when you're ready, it's going to swing all the way in front to make eagle. Lots of prana today, lots of inner heat being made within the body. Stay with that eagle, even if your arms are in just kind of a hug here. Toe might be over just giving a little tap, or you might be in a fuller extension. Perfect. Keeping the arms still in eagle, take that top leg off, step it back, and then turn yourself sideways, long ways on your mat. Heels turn in, sink. Arms might relax to more of a hug shape. You might have to work out a little bit of something in your neck here if you were really tense there. But see if you can just enjoy a little bit of movement in the low body. Arms can still be in full eagle or a hug. Next natural exhale, just let these arms break free. And then we're going to turn toes forward, sink towards your right knee, and start looking for the ground. Now you might choose to bring these left toes all the way up. You might put hands for balance on a block. If you have the luxury of a chair or a couch nearby and you want to walk away from your mat and use something to hold onto while you move to the floor, that works too. All right, we're just going to start to bring ourselves back here to center. Switch over to the other side. Lift the other toes. Again, if you're using a block, it might help a little bit. Now from this shape, we're going to switch directions on your mat. So you're just going to walk your hands now so that what was the back of your mat is now the front of your mat. You're going to switch into a little bit of a low lunge just for a moment on this side, and then bring yourself up for that same crescent. So you're just facing the opposite direction. So just trust my voice if you can't see me right now. This time, right arm comes down, left elbow is underneath, and you're making those same eagle arms. Holding that crescent, and this might become a little balance work like you did before. Playing around with that hip flexor. Look how much length you can get out of that back leg. So see what's happening with that back heel. This is a lot, guys. So if you're feeling a little overworked here, or you think, you know what, Gary, this is great in theory, but my body doesn't like this one, you can adjust the arms. You can just be giving yourself a little hug here. You can make your stance shorter. It's okay. You have permission to listen. All right, when you feel ready, this back foot is going to take that big step forward. Arms are still staying in eagle. Step it. Put yourself into that eagle shape. So your knees crisscross just like we did when we were on the floor. Paying attention to where your elbows are in relation to your shoulders. If they're pulled way out here, see if you can give it just a little roll back to keep that spine nice and tall. Gaze is just past the hands. You almost feel cross-eyed for a moment. Now you can always just be here in a hug. You can be holding on to a wall or using a chair. You got it. All right, see if you can keep those hugs or those eagle arms while you uncross this top leg. Step it long. Turn yourself completely to the side. Heels face in. Sink. Maybe those eagle arms just become a hug for a moment. Maybe you work out a little tension hiding in the neck. All right, next natural exhale, just let these arms come out and open. And then we're gonna head to the floor again, turning both toes forward, both feet forward. You can go right first and then left, or left first, then right. Take your time to walk back and forth. Now, depending on what side you've been on, we're going to work our way back up here to the front of the mat. So the way we're going to do that is that you're going to shift your weight towards your right, then turn your right toes back up to the front. Take this left foot, step it up to meet your right. Hang in a forward fold, shake the head yes. And no. And then let's find a long spine again. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, back up to that chair. Look for length. Sweep the hands back. Look for strength. One more time. Look for length. Look for strength. See if you can lift your heels here. You got it. Laugh at yourself if you need to today. Inhale, reach. See if you can keep those heels lifted. Exhale, settle those heels down. What do you think of that? That's a lot, right? Inhale. Try it one more time. Sink. Strength. Heels. And then try to stand back up. Use your inhale breath. Keep those heels lifted now that you know what's going on. Exhale, settle in. Perfect work. Step your left foot all the way to the back of the mat and then just spin those toes to the side. Let's look for something you know what to do. Warrior two. So back to the basics here. Front knees nice and bent. Back legs long and extended. Arms are reaching out to the sides. Turn your gaze to look over this front hand and then flip that palm to the ceiling as you head into reverse warrior. Up and over the top side angle. Your version may be bigger down here or just rested comfortably on that knee. Take that dance one more time. Beautiful work today. All right, bringing this back to that warrior two. We're going to straighten our front knee. back leg may need to come up a little bit or turn those toes just slightly inward. Start to look for your triangle pose. You might notice a little more mobility in your triangle today because of all that hip opening. One more breath in triangle. We're going to take this hand that's to the sky and let it start to circle down towards the earth. Once the hands start to look for the earth, soften this front knee, spin on these back toes, drop the back knee to the mat, walk your right foot all the way over towards the right edge of your mat. Start looking for lizard. So I'm going to walk this back foot back just a little deeper so they have a bigger shape here. Both of my hands are in the middle of the mat. You might even choose to roll. And I know this is kind of hard to see, so I'm going to switch. Kind of roll this knee slightly out to the side. This is where my high-priced, expensive cameraman would be helpful. Camera person. I don't have one of those. But I appreciate you zooming along with me anyway. Most of you know what these shapes look like. You've done enough yoga with us at Zift. All right, start standing that knee back up. Any variations you took there are just fine. Maybe your toe starts to peek back up towards your face. That pulls back. Excellent work. We're going to flatten that foot back down. I need to kind of switch because I'm all over the place. Hands are going to go on the earth, and I'm going to take a big step with this right foot so that it come all the way back. Downward facing dog might feel really good. Others say, nope, I want child's pose. If that's where you are and you'd rather be down on the earth, that's fine too. If you'd like a full vinyasa here, feel free to take yourself through your plank to up dog, to meet me in down dog. That's also an option. All right, no matter where you ended that little series, feel free to start moving the feet back towards your hands. A nice forward fold is going to feel good here. Maybe even collapsing the knees a little bit, chest down towards the tops of the thighs. You might even choose to bring your hands around to the backs of the legs and then lift the tail slightly to the sky. All right, and then let's bring ourselves up. Half lifting. Down, all the way up, and then hands find the heart. All right, when you feel ready, this time your right foot's gonna step back. I'm actually gonna switch directions on my mat so that I can still see you. So I'm gonna still step my right foot back, but I'm gonna look like I'm doing the same side again, maybe to you. Hopefully I don't throw you off too much, but I like to be able to see you. Put you into warrior two. Shoulders down, away from the ears, reaching off to that front hand, flipping the left hand, and then lean away. Now you know the warrior dance, so just take your time here. Let it match your own breath. We did about 2 rounds of this last time, slowing the pace down. We've been breathing pretty heavily and pretty fast, so just take your time to really see if you can find a little more length in your side body, a little more space in these big shapes. Coming back and finding that warrior two when you feel ready. Front knee is gonna straighten, and then we look for triangle. For me, my body feels a little better if I take this back foot and just angle those toes just slightly towards the front edge of my mat. That little adjust in my hips oftentimes gives me a lot more space in my triangle. You decide what shape works for you. Knowing that your triangle can be supported by blocks, or you just don't have to go as far. You don't always have to be looking for the biggest shape you can, but watch this hand that's in the sky. Ideally, it's waving the same direction as your pelvis is angled. So we don't want this hand twisted around back. See if you can point it forward towards the hips. All right, top hand starts to sweep down, maybe some softening in this front knee, twisting on these back toes as the knee drops down into earth. And then check yourself for lizard on this side, just as we did before. Hands come to the middle of the mat. Front foot, your left foot's gonna walk to the outer edge of the mat. Maybe the knee even kind of rolls. I know you can't really see what my front foot's doing when the hands are in the way, but you got 2 hands there on the earth, a little bit of opening there. I saw a few of you last time kind of reaching back and taking different grabs here. I guess I reached with the wrong hand. But if you do choose to add on some of those lizard variations, if you're comfortable with those, feel free. Some of you are dropping forearms. I love that about Zoom. Those of you keeping your cameras on, it's nice to be able to see you just like we were in our book class together, just like we were moving alongside. You have the privacy of your own home. You have the space and safety there. The luxury of doing this maybe without even getting out of your pajamas. All right, start to stand that knee back up. Walk it back towards the middle of the mat. It's going to take that same big step it took last time, putting you into child's pose, down dog, or maybe you just shoot yourself. Put yourself, let's try that. Put yourself into a plank pose. I was trying to say shoot yourself into plank, but that just did not want to come out of my mouth. Put yourself. And then maybe you walk through a vinyasa. All right, once you hit this down dog, this time, let's drop knees down into earth, sit the hips back, take your time to find child's. We're gonna take a normal child's pose just for a breath. Now, depending on how much space you have around you, the next series of poses might work perfect the way you are, or some of you may find yourself needing to shift so that you are going long ways on your mat. I'm gonna show you what we're doing first. So you just come up from that child's pose, step your right foot straight out to the side. So see here, this is where, for me, it's probably better, maybe, that I show you here. So your right foot goes out to the side, and then you're just gonna take this left arm and let it reach, like it's trying to reach towards that right edge of your mat, and your head comes down to earth. You might extend your right arm long, or it might just kind of work like a pillow. Some of us are gonna fall really deep into the floor. Others of us are gonna say, you know, I like the shoulder part, but my legs feel weird, so I'm gonna keep my knees in close and just do the classic reach under that we do often with no legs. So you can have right leg out to the side, left leg, left arm reaching underneath, or you can get rid of the leg. Whatever pose you've chosen, let's stay there for about 2 more breaths. All right, start using your next natural inhale. Bring this leg back in underneath of you. Start to reach out with your left leg. Remembering, if you don't quite have enough space, you can always turn yourself right on your mat. Left leg's out to the side. We'll start to reach this right arm underneath. Remembering, you can stay in that shape with the leg out, or the leg can come back in and just the arm. And a nice compliment to the shoulder work we've done today, just giving that shoulder a little bit more. If you've had that left leg out to the side, or you've been in that shape, give yourself about 2 more breaths. All right, use your next natural inhale to bring this back underneath. You've had the leg out, bring it back. And then I'm gonna give you those same 2 options I gave you earlier. If you feel comfortable just moving yourself to sit on your heels, you can be here. If that shape doesn't work for you, go ahead and just shift yourself into a seated posture. crisscross works, or sukhasana, siddhasana, whatever version of knees out that feels good. So you can be sitting on your knees or you're with me on the earth. And then just see if you can flip your palms towards the ceiling. Visit a little bit of movement in the neck and the shoulders. And then hands are gonna reach out towards the sides of you. So again, whether you're on your knees or not, you can do all of these same poses. Right hand stays down on the earth as the left hand reaches up and over that side wall. And then just take your time, switch sides. Doing a little bit of our traditional opening spinal movements, but we're just saving them for closer to the end today. Give ourselves one more reach up and over. Either side, just easing back and forth. And then if you are on your knees, I'd suggest that you move down towards the floor to match us in this seated posture. We're gonna keep our right foot down on the earth and see if we can bring the left foot up and perhaps build fire log. I'm trying to move so that you can still see my legs on the camera. Fire log option would be ankle to knee, kind of stacked on top of one another. Other option might be just to take this knee a little bit more relaxed and maybe it steps over and across, just a shape like this. Now, if you're able to sit there nice and tall through your spine, great. If you'd like to take a fold at any point, whether you're in fire log or that other shape, feel free to start to hinge a little bit at the hip creases and fold a little more into that shape. Lots of opportunity to open the hips today. Perfect. Take your time. Chest starts to come back up. And then we'll switch out those legs. So whatever leg you had on top last time, even if it didn't match exactly what I was doing, you're just going to flip-flop. Ankle to knee if you're trying to do that fire log. Some of us have more comfort in trying to add a little kindling, add a little extra stuff in here to help those knees and ankles match up a little bit. Or you might be in one of those more modified shapes where you're just kind of taking this leg slightly over the top. You can hinge and fold into whatever shape you've taken if you want a little more. But not all of us are going to need that. I'd encourage you to start to kind of evaluate your space now. We're definitely into the final moments of these practice time together. We're going to start to move back to our backs here in just a moment. So if you want to adjust music, lighting, get any props in, start to come out of that shape. I'm just going to let my legs go nice and long because that makes sense to me. I've been facing forward, so now I'm going to turn sideways on my mat. But again, if you want to reach for any props, adjust your music, adjust your lighting, now is a great time to do so. Start to hinge and fold down towards the earth. Looking at that spine, making sure that we're always hinging from those hip creases. The goal is not really to yank and pull, even though that's usually where our inspiration goes. Just let things follow the path they're supposed to be on. All right, and just ease your way down to the earth. Now, I mentioned to some of you before we started, I don't know if everybody was on the Zoom call yet, that a rolled blanket might feel good as you head to Savasana. This is optional today. If you do have this and you already kind of prepped it and it's ready, great. If not, if you'd like to reach for your blanket and make one. Since we did a lot of motions where the shoulders were coming forward in that eagle, this is going to encourage the opposite effect. So you're going to put this blanket at the base of the spine and then just take your time to recline back over it. And it just traces a line straight up your spine. It might feel really great to let your legs go long. Maybe your arms may cactus or reach up overhead, or maybe just kind of rest in more comfortable places near your belly or down by your hips. If you're not using that rolled bolster, feel free to just kind of visit a few closing postures that might feel good to you. You might play with a bridge pose. That will give you a similar feeling of opening the chest, expanding the heart. So either rolled blanket or bridge might be a good place right now. And if you're like me and your blanket isn't quite long enough and your head is kind of falling off the top of the blanket, use this as a moment to open up that throat chakra, to give yourself kind of a modified fish where the chin is lifted up towards the ceiling, just extending that stretch of the cervical spine. Of course, if you don't like that sensation, if you have an additional pillow or a block or something handy, you're welcome to move that up towards the head of your mat. But see how quickly you can get back into that state of deep, full breath. Close your eyes and start revisiting that 4-count breath we found at the beginning of today's practice. Seeing if you can add that inhale length, and then exhale. Guiding yourself to a space of ease, a space of quiet, a space to fully sift and let everything settle back into place. So we can stay right here for a couple more breaths. Or you can start to remove the blanket out from beneath your back if it's been placed there for a little while. The easiest way to do that will be just to kind of roll to one side or the other. You just kind of sneak behind you and grab the blanket. Now, since my blanket is already rolled in a bolster type shape, I am going to place it where I think my knees might hit, because I think that might be a nice little stretch for my front side body. Sometimes something just as subtle as a little lift behind the backs of the thighs or the knees can give the front side body here, your hip flexors, just a little bit more length. Hands might even reach up over the head as you make a long body. But if there's other poses that the body's asking for, one of the luxuries of practicing at home is that you have the space, you have the time. So go ahead. If you want to put yourself into kind of a legs up the wall might feel nice here. Maybe some additional stretches for the hips in kind of a pigeon pose on your back. Anything else that the body might be asking for. I personally am listening to my own body, and my body's kind of saying I haven't twisted very much today, which is very true. And if you're quiet enough, you'll listen to those things, you'll hear them. I'm going to start with just a little bit of windshield wipering. If you want to follow along with me, great. If there are other poses that seem to be speaking a little louder to you, feel free to listen to that. I'm going to bring the right knee into my chest and let my left leg go long. And then invite that right knee over and across my body. Just a recline spinal twist. Again, knowing that you can be listening, following along with this part of the video, with this part of the class, or you can choose to kind of do your own thing. As that right side feels like it's had enough twist to it, start to come out of that shape and just switch sides. Easing in, the left knee comes into the chest. Pointing and flexing the toes, kind of rolling around here if you need it. And then when you feel ready, we'll just start to invite this knee over to the other side just as you did before, taking that same recline twist. little close to the wall. So I'm going to move. Note you can always extend the opposite arm out to the side and have a T shape where it might be hanging out. Something that looks more like cactus. It's all right. You just take your time. Again, if these twists aren't what your body's asking for and you're moving into something else, that's fine too. As this left side starts to feel ready and complete, with that twist, just start to bring it back to center. Maybe both knees come into chest again, hands to the tops of the kneecaps, and you just take a gentle stir of the spine. And then we're definitely to a place in this practice that if Savasana is starting to speak to you, if you're ready for that final resting pose, let's go ahead and move ourselves into it. For me today, traditional Savasana, I'm quite tongue-tied today. Traditional Savasana might feel like it makes sense. Legs fully extended down the mat, toes rolling towards the outer edges, palms flip towards the ceiling, resting here for a few more breaths. Moving into whatever shape you'd like to finish off today's class. Inviting back in once more that same 4-count breath. Watching as the inhale grows up to 4. And then the exhale releases to 4. As we start to close today's class, I'll pull you back when it's time. But just stay rested in whatever place of Savasana you'd like to have for these few closing minutes of today's class. Slowly starting to bring a little bit of movement back into your body. Become connected with the breath once more. Letting your head sway from side to side. Maybe bringing the knees into the chest if you've been laying on your back. Taking your time to slowly rock around, roll to your right, to become to a seated posture. And then just like always, we'll finish our class seated only when you feel ready. Bringing hands palm to palm, maybe even pressing the thumbs in towards the chest, closing the eyes. Becoming connected once more to that breath. Today's final reading is entitled Control. Control is a dangerous illusion. I have found that my need to control things is based on fear and is a strategy for feeling safe in the world. Today, examine one small aspect of your life that you feel you need to control. Consider your need and what lies beneath it. Then make a decision to let go of controlling it. Breathe as you do. Consider your need and what lies beneath it. Then make the decision to let go of controlling it. Breathe as you do. Control. I greatly appreciate you making this time to move alongside me today, to breathe, to stretch, sift. May you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again. Namaste.